It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Virginia State assistant softball coach, Coach Raheeda Crews. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college softball?
That's a good question, Brandon. I really don't know if it ever was a time where I truly fixated on being a collegiate softball coach. Growing up, let's just say I've always said I was going to do a lot of things. I was definitely that young girl that was going to be an astronaut and a nurse and a professional basketball player. But I would have to say, once I realized it would be something on my bucket list for my life to do, was when after I started coaching high school ball at Henrico High School. That's when I was like, okay, I think by the age of 35, it would be nice to be a collegiate coach somewhere. So I guess here I am.
Of course, what was it like going to college and playing collegiate softball?
Now that was a dream. In high school, I played basketball and softball, but I was always a better softball player, played that year round. I would say in rec ball, travel ball, and then to have the opportunity, I grew up in a town that the town capacity was maybe over 1,000 people. So everybody knew everybody, grew up with a lot of cousins. So just the idea of a little girl like myself, a little black girl, let me be frank, from Brooknell, Virginia, to have the opportunity to play at the next level, like that was amazing.
Of course, what was it like getting to put on that Eastern jersey?
Man, it was a bummer at first because I had always wore number 10. I even have some funny stories that I kind of tell around with family how much I love the number 10. But my freshman year, coming in, being a freshman, unfortunately, there was an upperclassman that already had the number 10. So I had feelings about, the superstition. I can't play without my number. So although I was happy to have the opportunity at the next level, when it came time to pick a jersey on and, to really wear it to signify that I made it to the next level, I wasn't too happy. But my collegiate coach at the time, he kind of told me that, hey, how about you try out number 13? That was my old number when I played, and I did pretty good. He kind of used some little reverse psychology on me, so I was like, all right, I'll try it out. And after I got past that, it felt real good to have on the royal and white.
Of course, after that, did you ever go back to the number 10?
Oh yes, most definitely. As soon as she graduated, best believe I called dibs on number 10. But my freshman year, I stuck it out with number 13 for sure.
First, what were some of your college accomplishments during your playing time?
My career was definitely a roller coaster. I was recruited to come in as a shortstop. I had a great fall season, but I came in and tried to impress the coach a little too much, overdid it and got an injury. So with me being out a few weeks, I kind of lost the attention or the lead weight of ground that I got to competing with the current starting shortstop. That was another 4.34 native. So me being with my athleticism and my prior experience being utility catcher, the head coach kind of put me in utility places just to keep my bat in the lineup because I was a strong hitter. So that was my freshman year. I say I probably played in maybe 20 games out of 40. So I wasn't too proud of that. My sophomore year, again, fall season, came out the gates, boom, definitely had put myself in a position to be not only a leader on the team, but a starter. And then I got a case of mono so bad that it felt like it was a whoopee cushion and I was out. So I got a medical red shirt. So then after I finally got past mono, get to my junior year in school, but I guess my sophomore year, second year eligibility, that's when I just came out guns blazing. And I started behind the plate as our catcher. I caught for, hopefully you'll keep her name in here because it's really, really big, Lisa Lee, who is a retired pitcher from Eastern Mennonite University from 2008 to 2012, who is about to get inducted, into the Hall of Fame. She's another African-American female. So, to be her catcher and her and I just have our own competitions and, to go out here and compete, not only for ODAC championship, to even just see what it's like in the, the NCAA tournament. Like, it was great. Once I got through the injuries and the highs and lows of adjusting from being, I guess, one of the best players in my hometown and, that area to dealing with that, it was good. So definitely a learning process that I use to try to connect with current and past players.
Of course, after your college time, what was it like getting into coaching? And did you coach on the high school level before jumping to college?
Yes. So I dabbled in coaching kind of while I was still doing my undergraduate at Eastern Mennonite. I helped out during the summer when I stayed around Rockingham County. During the time I helped out with some travel ball teams. So I would say I started coaching around the age of 19, 20. After graduating from Eastern Mennonite with my undergraduate in computer science, I worked in the IT field for a little bit, but then I was a career switcher. So during that time when I was in IT, I didn't do much playing or coaching. I went into the umpiring field away there to kind of stay close to the game because I wasn't ready for slow pitch. And then, as I changed from IT into teaching, part of the reason why I got the job still to this day is because I told them I played collegiate softball and I teach at a county school to where baseball and softball isn't the greatest. So I think my softball skill set and my own personal resume kind of helped me. So I started out as an assistant coach at Henrico High School, I would say in 2016, 2017. And I coached there up until COVID. And then I kind of took a 2-year hiatus. And then in February of 2021, that's when I found a new home at Virginia State University in Petersburg, Virginia.
Of course, what was it like getting to coach on the high school level?
Brandon, can I tell you, it was hard. I grew up in a county where softball was king, softball and football. Our high school, our rec teams, we were good. College, we were elite. So all I knew how to do was win, 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 and I was around winners and around people that made me better. So when I took my job at Henrico High School, it was different. A lot of girls that had just started the game of softball at the age of 15, 16. And so I had to kind of relook at not only my own philosophy as a player, but definitely I had to develop my own philosophy as a coach. And how do I develop and nurture these girls that, lack the resources and the influence that I had in this game. So it was hard at first. First year, I was like, what in the world? And then years 2 through 4, oh man, I love those girls. And that's when I realized how, even through my softball playing career, it was so much more than a game. I learned so much from that game that made me the woman that I am today. So that's how I kind of changed the approach of the game. And it was hard stepping away from Henrico High School softball after having that, I guess, enlightening moment, that light bulb went off.
Of course, what were some of your accomplishments during your high school coaching time?
High school coaching time, I would definitely say by far my most successful and I guess rewarding year as far as accolades would have been during the 2017 through 2018 season. I was the Class B Region Virginia High School League Coach of the Year. And I was the solo and only coach. I did everything from lining the fields to announcing the girls, coaching third, field preparation. Also, just at the high school level, I won Female Coach of the Year. And then we also won Team of the Year. So, and not only that year, my team, we went from only winning just 4 to 5 games to where we lost out on our last game and lost our first bid to regional, I think, in school history for Henrico High School. So 2017, 2018 was definitely a big year, not only for me as a coach, when you think about my own kind of like bucket list of things, but definitely for the girls that started with me as babies, with me being a baby coach at the high school level. You know, I always dealt with 12U, 14U, but to be a new high school teacher and a new coach teaching girls that fall into the 18U, 16U category, that was huge. And it really kind of changed the morale about female sports at Henrico, but also got the interest up for softball and baseball as well.
What was it like going from high school coaching to now coming to the college level and coaching at Virginia State?
It was another big time of introspection and kind of reflecting, to where I went from Henrico High School, where you only get the kids that are zoned to you, and traditionally the more athletic girls that love softball were in other zones. So then now having the freedom and the flexibility to be able to recruit my own girls, that was too much fun for me. I was like a kid in a candy store, you know, being able to travel and just sit outside and watch the game that I love, and then just talk and build relationships with some girls that you do get to actually come to Virginia State and play for 4 years. And other girls, they decide to go other places, but it's just like that mentorship and that sisterhood that I wish I would have had during my recruiting process, and that knowledge. So, you know, took a lot of going back to the drawing board. Okay, now you're dealing with 18 to, you know, some girls 24-year-old, where you went from 13 to 17 being the max. So it took a lot of trial and error, but as far as setting up the competitive spirit and getting back to that championship nature, it felt good to be back home and, you know, play a good competitive game of softball, and girls to understand certain lingo and just respect just the analytical and the intellectual part of playing softball. Like, it felt good to get back to have that challenge. I think I really, really needed it, you know?
How is it like, obviously, getting announced to become the assistant coach for Virginia State and get to coach on the college level?
Brandon, I have a testimony, but I'll tell you now, you don't have enough time to really hear it. I would say the transition between high school and softball isn't as sweet as it may seem. I kind of went off the scene, and COVID was kind of good excuse for that. But I stepped down as the high school coach at Henrico High School with the intention of never coaching the game of softball again in my life. So how am I here today having this interview with you on your podcast, being the assistant softball coach at Virginia State? Is nobody but God, because I had given up on the one sport that was my heart. I had to step away from it for personal reasons. I tragically lost my mother to a massive heart attack on the softball field. So the PTSD and the mental health behind that, you know, really, really, you know, made things hard. So to simply just having the opportunity to be back in the game that I love, and that kind of was like the brother and sister, cousin, it was like everything to me. Softball was everything to me. It feels great to be home and to call Virginia State home. And from the first player on my roster all the way down to the last player, like, it feels good.
Of course, what are some of the things that you've accomplished so far as the assistant coach at Virginia State?
I don't know how much research you may have done or looked, but I would say all season long in our championship segment of our season, our team not only hit team milestones in the offensive categories, but also we had a lot of individual milestones. As a team, we were ranked in the top 10 in the nation for Division II softball the entire spring season this past season. Also, we had a junior player be also in the top 10 for the individual rankings in the nation for Division II. So to go for a team that was getting shut out of games, last season we never got shut out of a game. win, loss, or draw, we always put runs up on the board. So the offensive performance that we put out day in and day out, whether we were at home or on the road, it was amazing for how small of a roster that we had, and girls coming off of COVID and not really playing a competitive softball game for 2 years. Like, it's a game of muscle memory. And if you don't use it, you're going to lose it for sure. So just to be helping and be a huge part of doing, the offensive work with drills, with the girls, and then to see them meet those milestones and then just us as a team together, that is huge. But I would say another one would also just be just getting people excited about softball and people understanding that, Virginia State softball is here to compete. Virginia State softball wants to win the national championship, and we're going to put in, the hard work for it. So,
Of course, what was it like in this previous season, obviously competing in the tournaments?
it was amazing, Brandon. Like, growing up, I've never seen so many other female athletes that look like myself. Going all the way from rec ball, even up to college, I was either the solo, ethnic person, or it was maybe one other person of color on team. So when we arrived to the CIAA Roundup in Raleigh, North Carolina, at Walnut Creek Athletic Sports Complex, to see so many beautiful people of color with good food, music, and then just good competitive games of softball. Oh man, I was in heaven. That's when I really, really, really felt like, I don't even know how to say it. That's when I really just jumped on the bandwagon of the whole idea of coming back home and investing into the whole HBCU, not only education, but also in athletics. So anybody that's watching this podcast right now, if you have not made it to a CIAA Roundup, tournament, MEAC, anything, you got to see it. Y'all are truly missing out on some beautiful ball playing and a good time, just great time fellowshipping.
Of course, what was that like getting to compete in Raleigh, North Carolina?
It was a huge stage. I mean, all of our games were live streamed, so even people that couldn't make it were able to watch it. We even had people doing commentating behind the scenes, having the statistics. Like I said, just the camaraderie to where in between with the music and the good food, fellow sororities would, stroll and do different things. Like, it's an experience. And then just the facilities, the dugouts, the professionalism, just from administrators all the way down to the umpires. It was a great experience, and I can't wait to get back.
Of course, can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped build for Virginia State softball?
I would say the biggest influence I have had would be with my pitchers and catchers, because I am all over top of the pitchers and catchers. And, my coaching philosophy is always play with pride, the acronym PRIDE. And I always tell my girls, we have to persevere in life. That's what the P stands for, persevere. The R is resiliency. No matter how many times you get knocked down, you need to get back up, but you got to have, the I stands for integrity. You got to be a woman or man, whoever, of your word. D, dedication. Championships are not won without sacrificing. You got to be dedicated to it. And then at the end of the day, I may not always have the most talented 9, but that 9 is going to give me that E, and that E stands for effort. And that's what we do. And I hold my girls to a high standard. I talk trash to them. I work on the mental. We have fun. We compete. Like, one thing for sure, we, not only me, but Coach Smith, our head coach, we are building a program that is gunning for a national championship. Like, that's all that is on our mind, is winning. We claim in Northern Division this year. We claim in CIAA's, we want it. We want it. And that's what we're pushing for. So excellence. But also with that, I don't force religion on anyone, but, I think my girls need to have a spiritual relationship with whatever that may be. And then obviously mental health. And I think all that together with daily life lessons, we have no other choice but for it to work out in our benefit. And it comes down to the little things, and we stress that. So I hope I get off on a little tangent and get going, but that's what we're doing here at Virginia State softball. And that's the type of influence that I'm pushing, starting with my pitching and catching staff. And then hopefully that electrifies on to the rest of the team.
Of course, what is that like, obviously getting to work so close with the pitchers and the catchers?
I want to use my last year eligibility left. I got a last year eligibility left, Brent. They make me want to pull the stuff on out. I still got my glove and my cleats and all of that. It feels good. I always tell them, I say, hey, it's the bullpen is our woman cave. You know, what happens in the bullpen stays in the bullpen. Is going to be a free place. But we are going to win the game before it even gets starts, and it starts mentally. And we're going to prepare, and we're going to know who we're up against. And it feels good just to, just pass on game strategies and old battle stories, with my pitchers and catchers, and hope that in some way they can pick up on something that'll help them not only on the field during practice, but during games, but then also every day in life, whether they're in the classroom or just walking around, just being themselves.
Of course, who are some of the teams that you face each week in your conference?
We have a big conference. We're in the CIAA conference. We have a Northern and a Southern division, but just to name some teams in Virginia, just right down the street, we have Virginia Union, located in Richmond, Virginia. If you go down to North Carolina, we have Shaw University in Raleigh. We also have Elizabeth City State. We have Claflin, if you want to keep on going down south in South Carolina. Then on our northern side, we have Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, and we have Bowie State in Maryland. So we're pretty heavy on the East Coast. So yeah, that's our conference.
Of course, what is that like, obviously traveling to North Carolina and playing Shaw in Elizabeth City?
It's not as long. It's actually shorter bus trips. I prefer going south. We're actually closer to the North Carolina line from where we are at Virginia State with Petersburg. We're literally probably like 45 minutes from the Virginia to North Carolina state line. So I prefer those trips if we have to play on the road, because the girls don't get so, cramped up on the bus. We're there within 2 hours, enough time to warm up. So it's fun. But also I love just the culture and stuff, like when we're not on the field, just the time fellowshipping with the girls. The food is great in North Carolina. But I'm still a little biased. Virginia food is the best, of course.
Of course, what does a typical game day look like for the softball players at home?
For home games, all players know that they are to be on the field ready to go, cleats on at 2 hours before the first pitch. When they're there, that's when they start their warm up. Their warm up usually consists of some laps. That's when they'll go through their dynamic and static stretching. And then that's when we'll break down, and we kind of follow the 2 hour. Even whether we're conference or non-conference games, we follow the 2 hour kind of pregame setup for when it comes to NCAA time, when certain teams only have a certain number of time warm up. So after we do our stretching, we'll hit the batting cage. Pitchers and catchers obviously go first so they can get enough time in the bullpen. And then once we're done with our offensive work, we start working on our everyday work for infield and outfield. And girls know it's business. When you step on, as soon as you walk through those gates 2 hours before, only thing is focusing on beating whoever is in the opposing dugout. So we have fun. We have our music. We set a vibe, but we're focusing on the game plan 2 hours before.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college softball?
I would say pretty much it really just starts off with, for us, I respond very well to my email. So if young ladies that I can, legally talk to within the recruiting bylaws, I'll respond back. Also, it looks from just me just being out there recruiting. Like I'll start off just going to a general tournament and then just looking at people. And then if I see someone, exchanging information, once we exchange information, it's kind of like we're dating. We're getting to know each other. It's not just softball stuff, let me know about your aspirations, because, it's not about, for me, it's not about the next 4 years. It's the next 40 years. So academically, what do you want to do? And if we don't have your major, then, it's just having those real conversations. So like you said, we're dating, and then, once the interest grows, then we'll usually have an unofficial visit, allow the young ladies to see Virginia State and their parents to kind of just aimlessly just walk around the campus and get a feel for it. And then if things still going good, then we'll get even more serious. And then it leads to the official visit. And usually when it gets to the official visit, we're popping the big question and we're deciding, hey, Virginia State, we're sold on you. We got you here on the official visit to show you a good time here. Do you want to, take things a little bit more serious and be ready to commit? And then once we have young ladies either verbally or, sign a national letter of intent if we offer a scholarship, now let's start working on, skill development, goal development, to get you ready to have a smooth transition from high school to college. Or we have some girls, that enter the transfer portal. So you may be going from a lower division to a higher and vice versa. So,
Of course, as a former high school coach, what are some of the things that you look at in those players now that you're a college coach?
me, I'm very old fashioned. I want to know who you are as a person. I want you to be a good person. I can teach you softball. That's Henrico gave me the skills to help with my player development with the game and taking someone that's kind of behind the curve and get them up. But I can't teach you to be a good person. I can't teach you, to be a hard worker. So who are you? What's the foundation that you and your family has already built? And if I like that, then I'm looking at, all right, how are you as a player? Are you respectful to your coach? How are you to your teammates? How do you carry yourself when you're sitting on the bench? And then other than that, it's just like I said, we're dating. Let's just see how you are every single time. I want to see you good, bad, and ugly because I require excellence. And yeah, I'm a lot of people's favorite person when I'm out here recruiting because I like to have a good time. But I hold you to a high standard and I'm gonna push you and I'm gonna let you know, when you don't meet it. So yeah, I'm different. I'm not so much caught up on how good you look on the field. I just want to know because it takes teamwork. How can we collaborate through these 4 years? So for me, it starts at the beginning. It starts at home, who you are as a person, and then the second next biggest thing, I guess, between who you are as a person and your athletic ability, your grades. That's the best thing you can do is get a free education. So that's kind of where I am.
What does the process look like on the official visit when you bring those prospective student athletes on campus?
So the young ladies have 48 hours. They usually come in on a Friday evening to, watch our fall practice or softball practice if it's in the spring. Usually after that, they'll be with their assigned, mind blank. They'll be with their assigned softball player that'll be rooming with them. They'll stay on campus. So we pretty much want to give them the on-campus feeling. So they'll be staying in on-campus housing, having on-campus food. If we have a home athletic event, obviously let them get that experience. And then, just deal with team bond and just giving them the access and freedom to have all their questions answered, whether it's from players, whether it's from the coaching staff, or even, reaching out to people that are, focused on certain degrees and other extracurricular activities, just having that access there. So in that 48 hours is, hey, we want you to see what it's like to be a student here. You let us know what you want to see that's going to kind of help in your decision process, and we'll make it happen.
Of course, as a coach, what is it like obviously getting to see them put on that blue and orange jersey and fall in love with Virginia State?
It's no greater feeling to be talking to a young lady when I want you, I stay after you. I am, if it's years, it's years. Like I am there, I am consistent. And then when I finally get that yes, and I know that it's official, and then when they have their photo shoot and they put on that jersey, and then you see, with this generation, when they put it on Instagram and they repping VSU, that Trojan Pride softball, man, it feels good. It feels really, really good. And when someone that you can see be a program changer and that can add to what is going on already at Virginia State, because I truly believe with such conviction that greater happens there. It feels so good to see them be at home and wear those colors.
What are some of your future plans for the program?
Well, simple, win a national championship. I'm sorry. I'll give you a little bit more. But I mean, obviously, yeah, to win, but we want we already have great things going on. Our administration at Virginia State, they have given us an updated scoreboard. We have had infield renovations done last season. We've got a new batting cage, new windscreens. Like, we just want more. We just want to keep on rising to the occasion and then just keep growing the game of softball and hopefully sending more players to play professional softball now that that's regrowing and you have more leagues there. So we're just looking to get better and better, not only win championships, obviously, in the conference and the national letter, but also just grow the university and just send out just better equipped young ladies in the world.
Of course, as a coach, what is it going to feel like to obviously have those college athletes go on to the next level, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or Team USA to represent the U.S.?
It's going to feel so great. And only thing that I'm going to need out of that, Brandon, the only satisfaction that I know, that just to have just some part of one of our players, veteran players, or, making it to the next level, is just a picture, just to see it. All I want to see is just a picture with them in their new jersey. The same way how I feel about two young ladies that I coached at the high school level, one that made it to Division II, the other made it Division III from a school where they wasn't sending collegiate player softballs at all. So then just to know that Virginia State could have some softball players in the professional softball world, like Athletics Unlimited and stuff like that, like, I would be ecstatic. And I just want a picture just so I can put it up in my office. You see, I got a lot of white space. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting on the next big thing, man.
Of course, what advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to become college softball players?
Starts in the classroom, ladies. The best thing you can do for yourself is not asking any coach, how much money can you give me for an athletic scholarship? What have you done for yourself? And you probably say, Coach Crews, what do you mean, what have I done for myself? It starts in the classroom. It starts with your grade point average. It starts with your test scores. It's plenty of free money out there academically that is yours. Get your education. It starts there in the classroom. And then obviously after the classroom, trust your coaches. Find coaches that you trust. Find coaches that are going to help you believe in yourself that you can reach big goals. And then once you are verbalizing that you want to reach such goals, find a support staff that's going to hold you accountable and push you to reach those goals in the high school level. And don't let the nose stop you. Don't let the nose stop you. And don't forget, don't worry about the number behind the D. It doesn't matter. It's less than a 3% chance for female athletes to play collegiate softball. Simply, if you just get an opportunity at a JUCO, D1, D2, it doesn't matter. Don't take no for an answer. Just push, don't quit. And just know that it gets even harder at the next level. It doesn't get easier. Once you get there, be ready to figure it out and go back to the drawing board.
Of course, what advice would you give those college softball players that are looking to make it to the next level, whether it's Athletes Unlimited, the U.S., or even internationally?
They got to understand that good players ain't gonna make it. You can't be a good player, can't be a good person. That won't cut it. You got to be a great person and you got to be a great player. And in doing that, you got to take your player development serious. You got to take your practice serious, games. You got to take your mental health. You got to take your strength and conditioning seriously, your nutrition, and you got to be able to take constructive criticism. Like it is work and it's hard and it's dog eat dog out there. But if you want it, you gotta continue to rise that bar. When you get there, see how much further that you can go. So be the best, outwork everyone.
What advice would you give those high school coaches that are looking to make that jump from high school softball coaching to college coaching like you did?
Network. That's my biggest thing, is network. It's so many different coaches. It's so many different types of coaches out there. It's so many different coaches with different coaching philosophies. Network. Find a mentor. Don't be afraid to fail. Apply for those jobs. Even if you think you're not going to get it, apply for those jobs. But really, if the biggest thing to make that leap from high school to collegiate, you definitely have to network. You definitely have to network and make sure that your names are being spoken in just bigger rooms. And it starts with putting yourself out there. Sell yourself.
Of course, what advice would you give those future college coaches looking to get started?
Take the chance. Be ready to have long nights. Be ready to still wear multiple hats. I definitely thought by going to the collegiate level, I would be able to minimize some of the hats that I have to wear as a coach. But I realize I'm actually putting on even more. So just know that the work, going to the collegiate level, the work doesn't get easier. It gets even harder. And truly, truly be willing to be dedicated and hold yourself accountable and responsible for this program, because you're having so many girls and families that are choosing you when it's a whole lot of people that want them. So just get ready, because it don't get easier.
Of course, where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Virginia State softball program app?
All right. Sorry, y'all. I'm old. I ain't good with the social media stuff, so I'm gonna have to pull it up real quick. So me personally, you can follow me at underscore cruise control on IG. Getting nervous. I'm not on Twitter. Facebook, I'm not really on there. But our softball program, you can find us on Twitter and IG, and it is Trojan Pride Softball for IG all together. And then on Twitter, it is at Trojan Pride SB. So follow us, tag us, send us posts. We want to see the great things that y'all out there not only on the softball field, but out in the community.
Thank you again, Coach Crews, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at Virginia State as assistant softball coach.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Crews, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.